I've worked closely with Eyelet. I was the project manager when we were implementing Earthworm system. So it's my pleasure to introduce Eyelet to you. She's Earthworm's digital transformation rock star and master of a work-life balance. She's based in, well, their office is based in Lyon, Switzerland, and Eyelet is all about chasing sunshine, whether it be in her garden, on hikes, or at the beach, family time with her husband, her two beautiful daughters, and her cats, and spoiling her colleagues with weekly homemade treats. Professionally, she's unified Earthworm's chaotic system into clarity, built bridges between siloed teams, and made tech adoption feel human-centered. So join me in welcoming Eyelet, who proves that great change starts with listening and maybe a little bit of sugar.
Thank you so much, Carmen, for that lovely introduction. It feels like there's no pressure now. Yeah, it's lovely to be here. Thank you for inviting me. I'm happy to share Earthworm's journey with AMP Impact over the last few years. So, without further ado, I will jump into my slides. I think you can all see my screen. Maybe Carmen, give me a thumbs up
Yeah,
if
we
it's
can.
okay.
Thank you.
All right, cool. So as Carmen mentioned, I am the Global Information and Digital Ecosystem Lead at Earthworm. That means that my role is actually to identify the internal tools that we need and to integrate them into our digital ecosystem in a coherent way, all the way from identifying customization and user support at the very end of it. If you have not heard of Earthworm Foundation yet, which is very likely, what we do is we work with businesses and others with the goal of solving social and environmental challenges that the world faces, which is, we do our bit, but we try to connect the boardrooms to the farms, to have our feet in the fields and to really connect along every part of the supply chain with the companies that source the raw materials all the way to the farmers that grow and produce them. The headquarters is here in Switzerland, in Nyon, which is where I'm based, and we have 16 offices. We have offices in 16 countries around the world and projects in many more. And we have about 370 staff at the moment. So, yeah. This is Earthworm. In 2022, we set off on a path with Vera to develop our Salesforce organization, which we named Terra. So you will hear me talking a lot about Terra this and Terra that. And if you are wondering why we called it Terra, I will get to that. But the idea of this presentation is just to present what set us on this path, what our journey looked like, what we have achieved so far, where we are today, and of course also demonstrate our system in a little bit. So when I joined Earthworm 2020, this is what our tool landscape kind of looked like. And as you can see, a lot of the tools were isolated and Excel-based, and there were plenty of silos of information and a need to chase people for updates because there was no live source of information. So there was a clear need to unite the work processes, streamline the flow of the project information, and so on onto one place. So we needed a base, a foundation for all of these tools to connect to. The reason we were like this is because Earthworm grew quite quickly. So it started off being a very small, of course, organization and grew to a point where this was no longer sustainable, and we realized we needed something different. The first step was to identify the main pain points. So we started off with multiple workshops internally and with Vera, in which people conveyed what they do, how they do it, what was working well, and what wasn't. We had about 16 workshops, and we chose about 40 team representatives across the organization. Using these insights, Vera gave us a summary of what they see as our main pain points and how a system could help us in streamlining our work. Here you can see a few quotes that came out of these workshops showing how the real user experiences is what inspired the way Terra was designed and our eventual mission statement. I'll give you a minute to read these. You'll see people were not asking for much, but the mission statement that we received or worked on with Vera was simple, really. We just wanted to improve the way we work with the digital system that connected our tools, streamlined processes, worked on what we have, or improve what and create what we don't have in the most simple and efficient way possible. We were not looking to create the Rolls-Royce of platforms. We just wanted to make it easier to do our jobs and to enjoy what we do. That is a very important element to Earthworm. We really, like Carmen was saying, the work-life balance is important, and we try to make our work fun. So a system had to be the same. So when looking for names, we just basically asked around and discussed various ideas, and we came up with Terra, which made sense because Terra, of course, meaning earth or soil, is where earthworms live and work, and that's what we needed, a place where we could all come together to share and collaborate efficiently. It's hard to imagine how we did anything before Terra. It has honestly changed so much at Earthworm, but we'll get to that. So the idea is when you set off on a path, you need to know where you're going and what success looks like. For us, being the humble earthworms that we are, we just said, okay, maybe by the end of that year, we'll be learning how to use it and to get the most out of it. We weren't sure really what to expect. But Zach, Vera's CEO and founder, shared this image with us, and that really set the tone. We wanted to get moving, even if it was with basic stepping stones. We wanted to get moving and define as we go what success looks like. And I do recommend this, really. It's a good motto. So the initial roadmap was something like this. Of course, reality was very different. And this is what our actual roadmap looked like. So first release was just the CRM side of things, the organizations and the contacts. Even that was something we did not have. We did not have one joint list of all the people and organizations that we worked with. So that was already a revelation. The following year, we introduced the AMP impact element, which we called our work, and I will demonstrate that soon. This introduced business development opportunities, proposal, development projects, design, all the approval processes that we were missing, invoicing with plenty of integrations as well. As if that wasn't enough, then this end of that same year, we integrated Gecko, our HR management system, on Salesforce as well, and connected it to our work so that the two spoke to each other and brought extra value to the time reporting that we need to do. And then last year, we added the element of budget planning, also with AMP Impact tools, so that the projects that we set up could plan their budgets correctly. We continue on this path. It is far from finished. We constantly receive feedback on improvements that we can make, and we keep going. There's lots more integrations to be done. So as you remember, this is what it looked like when we started. And as we went, certain elements just got absorbed into Terra, until eventually now the system looks more like this. And yes, there are still some elements that are disconnected, but that's what the future holds. More integrations and more connectivity, which is really what the goal is. So it might look very nice in this PowerPoint presentation where it all does the magic for us, but the truth is in spite of being warned and seeing this change curve graph at the beginning of the path, it was harder than I imagined because that stage 2 is real. And what we did to help our staff through this is just ongoing support and maintenance of the system. So we're constantly updating our training materials, whether it's written or recorded. We've set up 2 live hours of support calls where people can just call in. This was also something that Vera taught us. People can just call in those 2 hours of the week and get any support that they need. Not that it stops them from doing it any other way. Of course, they can also contact us anytime. We have a whole team of admins. I'm very, very fortunate to work with lovely, patient, talented people. So it's really important to us that people feel supported. And what have we achieved? So we have our one source of truth. We have processes that we didn't have before. We have clarity, we have visibility, we have invoice management and integrations with Box, with Asana, with our HR system, Gecko, and we have sunset quite a few of redundant or Excel-based processes. Have we achieved our mission statement? So the mission was to create an Earthworm ecosystem that's efficient and accountable and connected and pleasant to work with. I think we have. The only reason I say I think is because I know there's still so much more to do, but there's no doubt we have all of those things. We have the accountability, we have the efficiency, and the most rewarding bit of data that I've seen recently is in our staff survey. There's an upward trend with the answers to, does our staff feel that they have the right tools to do their work well? So that is lovely to hear, that people see the logic behind what we're trying to do. I think it's always really important to share the bigger picture and the long-term plan with everybody so that they know why they're doing something and why they're being forced to change the way they work. So yeah, this was the plan. This is the ecosystem as we see it now. Hooray, we did it, and it's worth celebrating. But yeah, there's still so much more to do. This is a lovely graph of our ecosystem as we like to see it. It's really important that everything that we put in place nurtures one of our processes or our goals, what we're trying to achieve. And there's still quite a few elements that are not connected into our ecosystem in a clear way. So that is what the future holds. One of the elements that I've noticed throughout this process is at Earthworm, we really do try to keep a good balance between structure and systematic approach, which we need, and agility, right? And we're always a little bit between 2 worlds. We also feel it in other elements because we deal with the corporate world, but we deal with nature and the environment and the people in the fields. So there's always a balancing act. And the last few years have really changed Earthworm in the sense that it's a lot more systematic, and it's been a bit of a shock. So we are constantly trying to rebalance it and to find the right ratio. So the end of the slide, I really want to thank Vera for your part in this journey. And now, without further ado, I will change to show you here. Oh, and of course it's logged me out while I was waiting. We all love the MFA. Okay.
Okay. That was great. Thank you, Eilert. Maybe if anyone has any questions while Eilert logs in, you could just share your questions so far.
Yeah. Yeah, I went a little bit quick, and of course, if there's any questions, let me know.
There's Eilert, but let's dive into the demo. We can come to them later.
Okay. So you can see Tara now, right?
Yes, we can.
Cool. All right, so this is our home page, And the nice element about our homepage is the first thing you see here is, like I said, user support is very important to us. So if anybody needs anything, I've got a link here to our support materials on Box. You've got a Terra support request form or a Terra report request form. Both of these use Asana, which is what we use for our off-Terra project management. But yeah, so these are very important. And also we've got a workplace group where we share all sorts of tips and tricks and updates to the system so that everybody can find all that information in one place. So I may have mentioned, I'll say it again, we have customized our system quite a lot. So the names that you see up here won't necessarily look familiar, but organizations is the equivalent to accounts. And this is where we started off the system. We never had this before, a list of all the organizations and the people that we work with. So if I just jump into an organization, I can show you through there how I can see through the Related tab all the other elements. Now, the BDOs, so the business development opportunities, the projects and the proposal are all record types in the Our Work object, which is where AMP Impact stars. For us, it all starts with a BDO, which is our process for requesting approval to work on to develop a proposal. And here we've got some complexity mapping that, depending on how the information that the user puts in, it either goes into a high complexity or a low complexity approval process. If approved, it will automatically turn into a proposal, which looks like this. So in a proposal, you'll have also an approval process just to make sure that we're keeping tabs on everything. Here you'll indicate what the work is, if it's single funded or co-funded. We have different types of projects here at Earthworm. So it is either designing something specifically for this member or allocating funds to a co-funded work. In here, so the process is basically you work on the proposal by defining what is the work. The work, also an AMP impact record type, defines all the activities and the deliverables, defining who will do what. And in the finances tab, we have our budget, also an AMP impact tool to define exactly the budget of this work, whether it's time or OPEX. Now, this is where our integration with Gecko comes into play, because if I assign this to a certain employee, they will see it in their time track in Gecko, and then when they report back, it will update the system here. It means a project manager can see the planned HR budget versus the actual HR costs. Again, as you can't imagine, we never had this. We would have to wait 2 or 3 months after the fact for the time reports to be consolidated and then see, oh yeah, maybe we should have seen that sooner. So this is revolutionary and lots of fun. And yes, the theme here is cakes, because as Carmen mentioned, I do like baking. So that's what you get to look at. Other than that, we have our yes, so going back to our proposal. Finances, where we have an integration with PDF Butler to generate the invoices. This has made a difference to how our finance team, our accounts receivable, collaborates with the project team. So the relationship managers, in fact. This used to be a chasing game back and forth between the two. And now it's all really clear and visible. What's the status? What's the stage? Where is it at? Who's responsible for what? We now have a really nice, clear process. I'm not saying it was smooth all the way through, but now we're there. And this is what I like about Salesforce, actually, that you can tweak it as you go. It's very nice. Another element that we have integrated in is books. So in the organization record, I have an integration with books where I can just jump in and see all the box files from here. I'm currently logged in as the admin, so apologies, but this works very nicely where you can just get a window into the box files. So, yes. So yeah, just from one place, I can see everything related to this organization. I can see who's working on what. Time track is reported live, and we have changed the way Earthworm deals with projects. Only took 3 years, but yeah. So, Carmen, do you think I forgot anything? I feel like I went really quickly.
I think maybe if you can just pull up your mission statement, that slide, quickly, then we can just reflect on all those elements from the mission statement, and we can just think then, how is this maybe, okay, efficient? Can you speak to that? How is into adopting a Salesforce and AMP system made everybody more efficient, accountable, connected, and made their work more fun?
Yeah. So the difference is efficiency-wise, instead of chasing 60 to 80 different relationship managers about the situation and the status of their projects, I can just create a report and see exactly what the situation is, or jump into that specific record to see the details. So that's definitely been a time saver. And it means that finance has all the information they need about potential or secured income at the tip of their fingers, which has been honestly such a time saver for them as well. They're especially pleased and excited about the future integrations that we're planning on that side of things as well. More fun, I think everybody's enjoying a little bit the fact that they know exactly what they're supposed to do, what their responsibility is, and what other people are expected to do in their project. That clarity has provided some peace of mind, which in that time saving and in that clarity, of course, throughout the change, it's been hard to say, yeah, that we're having a great time. But those who got on to it quickly and understood it quickly have enjoyed it very much, for sure.
Yeah, and I know how important that audit trail as well as the approval processes trail has been for the accountability side of things on your side,
Yes.
especially since you were using Excel before and there's not that great a audit trail in Excel. And so just how important that has been for you.
Exactly. Not just the audit trail as well, the chatter, so we can see the history of who said to do what, why. But in the record types that have an approval process, we have the audit trail, and we can see exactly who changed what, when, where, and where it is in the approval process. And again, that visibility has made a big difference. Yeah.
Great. Thank you, Eilert. So there are some questions that have come through. I think maybe stay here on the system.
Sorry.
So no, it's okay. So there was first question from Brian where he asked, is Salesforce your ERP system, or do you have a separate finance system like NetSuite or Workday financials that your invoices and expenses integrate to? If you just want to talk to that.
Yeah, we have a separate ERP system, which is business continuity of Microsoft. And we are looking into how we can, we also have Yokoi, which is our expenses app. So we have an app for people submit their expenses, and we have our ERP for the finance team. Those two are already somewhat connected, and then we want to pull the final truth from business continuity to Terra so that project managers can see the OPEX reality live as well. It is all possible, it just takes work.
Well, Caroline, do you want to choose the next question?
I think we can just go right down the list, if that works.
Okay, cool. The next one was just they'd like to see more about your budget planning elements, if you're able to show a bit more about that. And while you're away there, maybe there was a question as to if you need to handle multiple currencies in your system.
Yeah. Okay. Yes, we do. We deal with multiple currencies. As I said, we have offices on 16 different countries. That has been a challenge. The Salesforce system, of course, allows some level of converting, but when we wanted to update the different elements at different times, it was a brain scratcher. But we got there. We found a way to timestamp the exchange rate in the certain record as it was created, so that only that exchange rate was used in converting our amounts as they were updated. And then with the finance budget tool. I love this budget tool, actually. I think it's a beautiful, beautiful element of the system. So what we do here is we've separated the budget lines into time and OPEX. You can either create these one by one, if you like. For us, the way that we calculate the costs of all these things are the rank, the country, and the number of days. Later, when you put in the name of the person that's going to do this work, that's when it connects to their time track module in Gecko, the HR system. And of course, you have to link this to the activity. So basically, who's doing the work, how long will it take, and what are they doing? Then on the OPEX side of things, you have different types of fields, of course, because different things are important. Like what is the subcategory? What's the expected quarter? Because finance wants that information. And what cost center does it relate to? And of course, what is the amount? So you can either do that one by one, or you can use the upload download template, which means you download a beautiful Excel, you open that up, you do everything in Excel, and then you upload that back up. We have discovered the limit is 1,000 lines, but it works beautifully. And it is a question of planning the lines correctly so you don't reach those numbers. That's a nice tip. Another way we've done this is using a report. And I love that we have so many options because people can use what works best for them and what they're comfortable with. I've seen some users are a little bit timid about using the system, so they go one by one with their budget line creations. Those who have discovered and mastered the Excel thing, which is really not that complicated, they love doing that. And here, I don't have many examples, but using the field editing means that you can see the whole budget in one place, and you can play with the amounts so that you can see how the total changes in front of your eyes. So I like that very much. But yeah, if you want to see the Excel, I don't know how much to go in detail. Feel free to stop me if I'm going too far, okay? I could probably.
I think this is great.
This is
That's
good.
the
Okay.
best part of today. So we'll keep going as long as we can.
Okay, cool. All
I
right.
think on the budgeting front too, we have a really exciting budget UI coming out in our next release. So I will share a prototype of that when we get into the AMP snapshot section of this.
Cool. Thanks. All right. So yeah, this is the Excel that when you download, this is what you see. Instructions, all the reference lists, because it has to be an exact match. So we gave people all the information that they need here. And this is where people create the budget lines. So basically they put in the information, they save, and then they click upload here and select the file, and it creates the lines for them, time and OPEX. And it's like magic. Any other questions I can help with?
Priscilla, was there anything else you wanted to see on the budget piece? Can we move to the next question?
Yeah, you see here too, I've got the fixed rate so that people know exactly what is the exchange rate, so people know what they're working with.
Okay, Eilert, there's another question on how do you measure your return on investments on projects that you invest in?
Lovely. We're working on that this year. So the first step for us was to set up the funded work element. This year, we're looking at the unfunded work. And what we're thinking of within the hour work object, we'll set up new record types for cost center budgets. And those cost centers will basically invest in unbillable work, which is like admin or HR, all these kind of normal things, those kind of activities that we all do and is part of our time and costs, or Earthworm initiatives, meaning what we invest in, because we do. A lot of our work is funded, of course, otherwise we couldn't be here, but a lot of it is Earthworm investments. So that is how we will keep track. But it'll be a similar structure. It's as if Earthworm is the proposal funding organization, and we have all our projects within it. So we've set up a nice structure, which we can build on and use for other use cases within the organization.
Great, thanks, Eilert. Okay, and one that I think I mentioned in the little intro, you love change management and you've done so well. So this question is, can you speak more to the team's attitude towards change, and also how involved have your users been in the iterations and feedback?
Okay. So the first part, the reactions were very mixed. We've had people that were like, why should I do this? And very resistant to change. And we've had the extreme of, thank God you've done this. We have been waiting for so long, and everything in between. Lots of people we're not a very tech savvy bunch, honestly. We really are basic, and a lot of us are more comfortable in the fields with plants and trees than we are in front of a computer. So knowing that, it was a lot of patience. We have a core team. The core Terra team has a representative from different subject matter experts, so that we all knew how to respond to the different questions and requests and needs of our users. I think that made a big difference, because that means if somebody has a question or a doubt as to the logic behind the finance element, our finance representatives knew exactly how to answer why this is important, why we've done this. I have done so many presentations explaining to people why. I remember having one relationship manager telling me, you're asking us to take our squares and fit them into your circles. It doesn't make sense. This is painful. I said, yes, it is. But we've gone to great length to create the right circles for you so that we can all talk about circles and not triangles or squares or various shapes. We need to be talking the same language. So yes, it's a little bit painful. I acknowledge, I accept, but we have to do it. And the second half of that question, I'm sorry, I forgot. There was a second half.
How involved have your users been on iteration, so your future releases, as well as feedback?
Okay, feedback, we get galore. We're not shy. Nobody here has been quiet. We are constantly asking for it as well. And so in our core team, if there was an element that spoke more to HR, more to the relationship managers, we try to make sure that there's a good representation of that in our core team. But we did not pull many users into our testing and so on. It felt like asking people a bit too much, to be fair.
Thank you so much, Eilert. You did great.
Thank you very much for having me. And yeah, if there's any questions, just let me know.
Thank you so much. That was wonderful. I always get very excited to see the different ways that you all are using AMP. That was a great demo. So thanks very much for all the prep that went into that.